Matthew, Dr. William Pila. Then, apart from that,
Okay.
the usual
So,
thing.
good evening, all. We are into the next session as part of the CII Innovation Summit. And we are kicking off this panel discussion on a broader topic of crafting our future innovation for the next world. And in this session, we would like to deep dive specifically on insurance as a business. And I'm Rajiv Nair today, joining you from down south in India. And the digital collaboration has made it possible for all of us to connect quickly. I'm managing director with Accenture Technology in India, leading the industry networks. And I would like to welcome our esteemed panel members for this session before getting to the details. All the panelists today are well-known, respectable leaders in insurance industry in India. Let me introduce first Mr. Bhagavadas Gupta, MD and CEO, ICICI Lombard. Warm welcome, Mr. Bhargav, to the session.
Thank you, Rajiv. Pleasure to be here.
And huge congratulations for your 20 years of journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And next one from Life Insurance, Mr. Tarun Chu. And this is MD and CEO of Bajaj Allianz Life Insurance. Welcome, Mr. Tarun, to this panel.
Hi, Rajiv. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations to you too with the 20 years. And special thanks for your work from home Dad Moments campaign. I really loved it. I'm in the midst of that.
We'll shoot one with you as well.
Great. And the next panel is Mr. Vijay Kumar, founder and CEO of GoDigit General Insurance. Welcome, Vijay, to this panel.
Thank you, Rajiv, and hello, everyone.
Great. And big thanks to audience for joining us. And please feel free to share your questions as we go through this session in the chat window over there. And we will take as we go through this discussion. So the question is about exploration on crafting our future and what next for insurance, right? I would like to take a step back here and take it as like a time machine journey for us, right? We have experienced much and more so in the last 18 months. And that has been an unprecedented journey for all of us, be it from an experience of society, individuals, business, in whatever form and shape we look at it, right? And, we were seeing that when every citizen put up a mask, I think it exposed the kind of the real nature of a country and business and many other things, right? Be it from the healthcare system, social benefits, assurance, business continuity, and many other things. And insurance, if you see in one way, is sitting in the middle of many of these things. So we are seeing the bounce back now. When I say bounce back, 8 years of transformation is coming in 8 months, if you put it that way, right? Challenging the kind of institutional orthodoxies, the process, decisions are faster, digital is becoming mainstream and all that. So my first question to Mr. Bhargav is, what has been your experience in this and journey through this time?
Thanks, Rajiv, and completely agree with you. I was about to say a decadal change in 10 months. You said 8 years of change in 8 months. Similar, thought process. If I can step back and look at the impact of COVID, you talked about some of the societal impact which we all experienced. Coming to business and maybe the business of insurance, and if I look at different stakeholders, there is this one huge impact on consumers, the customers. There is an impact on businesses. There is an impact on all other stakeholders that we deal with. Be it channel partners, our employees, our other stakeholders, etc. From a consumer or a customer perspective, the first and the most important change is a elevated understanding and the importance people are giving to protection. Definitely helps, let's say particularly the health business for us in the GI side. I'm sure it helps Tarun with his term business. But it's also true that the way people want to consume these products and services is changing. Mindsets, perceptions, expectations are changing of organizations. Initially it was maybe touchless service, etc. But now it's clearly much more of the adoption of digital. For businesses, there is, as we discussed, it's maybe 10 years of change and fast tracking of digital adoption that we would have done in 10 years in 10 months. Some of us were forced. Some of us may have been doing it, but at a slightly more leisurely pace. We've now been forced to accelerate that change. But there is another impact in terms of the entire ways of work, if I can call it that. And you talked about the point that dads are working from home. Today, maybe all of us are kind of hankering to go out and meet people because that's our basic nature. But we also believe in the long term, the hybrid and the flexi working is probably the way to go. It has tremendous impact on the association or the engagement that corporates have with employees, and we can talk about that in detail as we go along. But that's another big change. And lastly, even the partners, the ecosystem partners, the channel partners, etc. There is tremendous change in the way they expect convenience and service from ourselves. So maybe if I look at every aspect of business has been impacted and potentially ready for transformation.
Great. That's interesting, Bhargav. I think you touched very important points, ways of working, changing culture, customer behavior. Right, and that leads me to the next question, Tarun. And if you look at this scenario, is the actual definition of a VUCA scenario, right? Highly volatile, uncertain. We thought it will recover in a couple of months. Now comes the next wave, complex, ambiguous, all traits of VUCA there. And specifically on the life insurance side, what are our lessons from this when we look from a future perspective, both from a customer side experience and the enterprise side?
Yeah, great question, Rajiv. And I think Bhargav has started out very well. I think he's given a very comprehensive way in which things have changed. I think in life insurance, if I was to put it in one simple acronym, and I'll call it acronym, but the acronym by itself has a very strong meaning. Easy is what I call it. Is that we figured out that we have to make life easy for customers. And what I've been moving around, and you got to hawk all your wares, your tech wares, and everything else, and you got to sell it to your teams and get people to converge, people to start using all this. Easy for me is basically using technology and making things more efficient, more accessible, more secure. And the big change that we particularly see in this world and is where the U comes in, the Y comes in, where the customer is now the center of everything. I can tell you this was not the case 10 years back in life insurance, but now, and particularly in the last 1.5 years, that has really changed. And I remember there used to be a board member a few years, I'm talking 10 years back, who she actually used to count how many times did we use the word customer in our board slides. So that has changed. That is a big one change. And I can tell you the customers themselves have been moving with markets. So whether it is, so simply this affects every part. How they use technology, how you communicate about technology, how do you, what products they consume. You've got to be more agile to be able to meet the requirements. The culture that an organization, that a life insurance company usually has, is usually a legacy company, right? So making products which are 20 years old. So you think so long term. But the first thing is the customer has got to be onboarded in an easy way. And how to get all these people to work together. So things that have changed, and volatility, which has been in a way good, is that the collaboration, it's got various teams to put in. So the impact has been all across for the life insurance sector, the kind of products, the way we've designed it, the onboarding of the customer. I can just go on and on with the amount of things that have changed, and the product, the way they have changed. Bhargav talked about how it's been good for term. I'll maybe add another layer of it, how term business is picked up, how to be able to work with reinsurers, as there's been a new journey for us. Usually the general insurance is very strong with reinsurers, but we are learning that afresh, and reinsurers have their own issues. And we're seeing that come up, and that is changing the rules of the game every 15 days almost for us. The product basket has been changing with markets being all over the place. Last year, first wave, markets were down. There was no unit-linked plans which were selling really. Now, second wave, and ULIPs are up. So suddenly ULIPs are selling. A big arbitrage between FDs and the rates we can offer. So suddenly, good. If you have good guaranteed long-term products, they're selling. So I think if I can just say in one word, making things easy for customer and getting the customer as the center. I think that's the big change for life insurance companies.
Excellent, excellent. I think that's an easy way to remember, but not so easy way to adopt and bring the real value outcome, right? We will get on to the topics when we get into the next part. And Vijay, to you, I'm assuming that from the Go Digit as a player, right? The way you have come out with that product as a founder, CEO for that, I would still assume that it is an asset-light, tech-heavy service provider, and hence the way you have addressed that would have been much easier or faster than any other players there. Right? But also your experience in this time.
Yeah, thank you, Rajiv. I think you rightly said, for us, I think situation was slightly easier, I would say, because being a new company, we started our operations practically in 2018. And this discussion actually of, remote business and remote working has been happening actually for quite some time. And unfortunately, I think COVID changed the entire scenario with regard to execution. But discussion was happening for quite some time and since long back. And we, when we started our company, we obviously invested heavily on the technology side, and in a way, this was very much there in our thought process. The way we decided the customer journey, the way we decided with regard to claims, with regard to policy issuance, paperless transactions. So this was already, I think, some amount of preparedness was already there, and we could handle this COVID scenario much more easily, compared to some other maybe peers. Now, with regard to in terms of claim settlement, before even COVID, also we were settling 73% plus motor claims online through remote claim settlement. Our pre-enrollment inspection in motor was to the tune of 90% even before COVID. So we really did not have much of a problem on this. On the business front, there was challenges compared to any. Maybe if I compare with Bhargav, I think we definitely had a lot of challenges because suddenly the motor sale actually dropped, and we didn't have the renewal base also. And but thanks to some of the efforts made by our colleagues, we could come out with some COVID specific products, which helped us in mopping up some business. So which helped actually during these difficult times. So our experience was slightly different than many other players, but I think being a new company, it was somewhat easier for us to handle this situation.
Great, and I think the core DNA we are talking about is about agility, nimbleness, and all that, right? And that was ingrained in the way you architected the entire solutions and the services. There is what Vijay you were mentioning. So that leads me to the next question, and that's about innovation, right? And Tarun, you did mention about number of times customer term is being used in the boardrooms, and now I think it might be more of innovations and new technologies there, right? In Accenture, we looked at the relationship between the enterprise IT strategy and the revenue growth across different business, including insurance, right? And this was done before COVID and we did a post-COVID as well, right? So as we expected, the 10% of the leaders were running at twice the growth as the others, right? And when we did this post-COVID, or I would say in 2020, end of 2020, I think this digital gap has widened, right? It has become 5x. But it doesn't mean that the winner takes all, right? There's a new segment of players coming up where we call as leapfroggers, who show two attributes there. The one, they have a resilient systems, right? Or what we call as a system strength. which is not just technology. I'm talking about the people process technology as a combination as a system strength. The next one is about how they flip their entire innovation and IT investments, right? We typically assume that two-thirds of investment goes to the maintenance operations and the rest goes to innovation. They could actually flip that, and that actually help them to become faster to the market and better there, right? So, from an innovation point of view, I'll start with Tarun here. And you have been bringing up many of these. When we are discussing about the KYC as a process, typically in the initial days, we go to branch and prove ourselves that we are the person whom we are taking the service. And now comes the agents coming back to our home and doing it now. Both of us are not meeting each other, but it is a digital forum to do that. So many innovations coming up there. Your smart SS is a good example over there, right? So why don't you take us through how innovation is helping us and what would be the innovations there which can take insurance to next level?
Right. It's a brilliant question, and honestly, I can start from anywhere in the spectrum. It's a very significant question. But let me just try to put it in a format where I do not go all over the place. See, I think you touched a very raw nerve in terms of how the money was getting spent. So life insurance, you're right, maintenance and the back end. If you ask me, bulk, 90% of our money was getting spent on the back end and in improving our maintenance bit and how do we, and we're sitting on legacy systems, all of us. You also mentioned the fact that is it going to give the leapfroggers a chance? Yes, it is. It is going to give. But fortunately or unfortunately, or whichever way the trend is currently going, is that the top 10 actually have become stronger after the COVID. Maybe because they have the money to spend. Because you still need to spend on the maintenance side, just to keep things there. A lot of systems are COBOL based and really old gen. All our policy admin systems are all old. The innovation really is happening on the customer facing layer, which is discretionary spend, right? So therefore you have to have money at your discretion, and a lot of big players have been able to do that. And whoever invested early has been able to then put a layer of virtualization in this world, in this current new world, I would say. And then comes a bit on educating and training your teams, because there's no point having innovations. There's got to be contextual innovation. What do you innovate on? I mean, there's some things which go and win prizes in the forums, right? And some things that would look good for the CEO to talk, and there's some that really get used. And the last one is something that is where the focus should be and is. Everybody can talk of now. Everybody wants to talk about data sciences, right? But who's actually using it? So a lot of work is happening there, and a lot of innovation avenues have come up, and there are a lot of trends that are kind of getting us there. Of course, Bhargav touched on the fact that customers have suddenly leapfrogged in the last 18 months to what they would have done in a decade. Similarly, we're seeing movements in tier 2 towns. We're seeing coming of vernacular. We're seeing that customers are spending more time on videos. We're seeing that customers want safety. There's a lot of customers who are touch me not, as in do not call me if you do not have to, or if I don't want to receive your call. So data security, and hence therefore, how do we innovate? How do we even make out that, look, this customer wants to be reached during this time of the day only using this medium. So hence I just said a very simple set of things. But how to be able to do that? There's a lot of data profiling required. There's a lot of other touch points that have to be checked on. And then, I mean, I'm not even getting to omni-channel. Today in Netflix, it's omni-device, omni-channel. You saw something on the iPad, you can continue from the iPhone, and then you can move it to your television, and you can do whatever else you want with it, right? And everything is updated, state of the art, there and then at the touch of a button. And we are miles and miles away from that. Omni-channel would be great if I was to leave at a branch and then go use an IVR and then be available uh, on my interface with my advisor and still be smooth in terms of where I left and what I'm doing now. So I'm talking of these are the things that customers have started getting used to. And these are the areas where innovation is happening. Safe technologies, customers, when they're saying that, don't come and ask me to fill a physical form. Today, you and I possibly won't even shake hands. We'll possibly do a bump of hands, right? So now that's the situation. Our customer wouldn't want to sit in front of you without a mask and be able to do things, and surely is not going to touch a piece of paper. And that is where the innovation is to come. So that's where for us things have started working, and these are unique, so to say, use cases in our terminologies that we typically use, but they're also very strong niches. For us, for example, Smart Assist was a safe technology customer facing. We launched it in September. Since then, 50% of my application has gone through these. It has helped us being one of the fastest companies to grow. So we saw it in action. This is something I didn't have to push much, just contextual innovation. So I think a lot of these things are going to come. And like I said, I'm just going to keep quiet because there's so much I can keep talking about. But there's so many avenues that are coming, and agility will be important to get there.
Great. Tarun, great. I think the contextual innovations, the 3V part, you're talking about the voice, video, and vernacular, and then the human plus angle to it. It's not just about machines and, completely virtual part. That leads me to Bhargav. I think from an innovation point of view, you did touch upon the customer behavior change, which is also driving innovation. Not that need to be pushed to customer. There is an ask from customer also, right? Could you double click on that and expand that innovation angle to that?
Yeah, but I'll also touch upon some of the other aspects if you don't mind. So I think Tarun made a very important point about benchmarking, not within the industry, but let's say he took the example of Netflix, and that's, I think, a mindset that all of us need to have. Customers are not comparing us with a peer; they're comparing their experience with what they experiencing with the other best of breed solution providers, right? In terms of customer engagement, UI, UX, etc. And that's a mindset that I guess all industries, any customer facing industry needs to have to be able to even think of reaching a level of sophistication that is required. But coming back to your specific point on what we're seeing, so when we look at our industry, right, this is a multi-line GI business which has multiple types of products, be it motor insurance, be it health insurance, be it property, PNC as we call it, for SMEs and large corporates. Different product constructs, different protection, different risks that we are protecting, different channels, and different customer segments. And again, going back to the point that Tarun made about contextual innovation, you have to think keeping the customer at the center. How do you define the entire journey in a manner that is easy and seamless and convenient for the entire chain? When we talk about the entire chain, you're talking about the customer, you're talking about in a phygital process, the distributor, you're talking about the internal processes within the organization. So, just to share some of the things that kind of we were grappling with when the pandemic happened. For us, even before the pandemic, roughly about 96% of the policies that we write, that year we had written about 26 million policies. 96% of the policies we don't see paper. It's out of the organization, right? Someone else, maybe the agent or the someone else uses a platform that we've created or their platform, and we don't necessarily see paper coming in. So that was already there. But when the pandemic happened, the way we looked at it was look at all of these stakeholders, look at product by product or process by process, and decide what do we need to do to make the transition that I talked about. How do you do digital at scale? I mean, that was our internal, in a sense, war cry. We are obviously digitized. We've been investing in that, but how do we digitize everything else? And one of the, in a sense, defining moments was the lockdown happened last year in March. In the month of April, we did a board meeting without any paper, and we said that, and we would have never imagined doing that, 3 months before, right? And we said, if we can do that internally for a board meeting, why can't we do this for the entire organization for everything, right? So those were some of the thought processes. Coming to the specific question on customers, as I said, you have to think about this for different segments, and maybe let me touch upon the health segment as we talk about. So one of the changes that we believe insurance industry needs to morph into, and we are seeing some of the leading players globally make that journey, So from 2014-15, we've been doing this for the corporate segment. Our thought process is that rather than being a partner for risk transfer, where you give us a premium, we pay the claim, we want to gradually morph into a more of a risk management partner, where we look at your data, maybe look at our experience, maybe look at doing a lot of analysis around policy claim, etc., and give you solutions so that the possibility of a claim comes down, and it's a win-win for you and us. Now, globally, a lot of people talk about this in the context of, let's say, health, or motor, where you say, maybe a telematic-driven, pricing for underwriting, etc., or you wear a, device, and based on your health statistics, I change the price, etc. So there's some conversation on that on the, on the retail side. But on the corporate side, I think, we hadn't seen too much of this conversation at that time. I think we've been able to make that transition in certain segments reasonably well. And I'll give you a couple of examples of innovation. I mean, since this is a CI platform, I presume there'll be a lot of industry players. So let's look at, your transit insurance, right? I'm giving a off the cuff, off the beat example, because everyone talks about motor and health. So let's look at your motor transit. When you look at the transit data, you see that there is your claim ratio is maybe 110%, and you wonder why is it so when the company otherwise is very focused on on managing risk. And you look at, maybe slice the data, and you see that it is most of the claims are coming from point A to point B and point A to point C. So that's the first level analysis. You go or do a risk root cause analysis. You figure out what the problem is. Could be hijacking, could be bad transportation partners, could be bad packaging, could be poor route, many factors. But today, with, let's say, IoTs, etc., you can track all of this. Hijacking, we in fact launched this even long back in 2015. You could reduce hijacking using some of these sensors. Look at a factory. You have a freshly painted fire safety system, or look at our housing societies. All of us have a fire safety system. You don't even know what the water pressure is. You don't test it, and you don't test it real time. Again, using sensors, today we have a solution where your water pressure is tracked real time, and moment it goes below a certain threshold, a trigger is sent to the safety manager. So these are some of the things that we believe is not the typical digitization, just the retail customer segment that I'm sure all of us have examples to talk about. But I think even for the entire corporate segment, there is a huge scope for innovation, where insurers play a slightly different role, slightly more, if I can call it, a nuanced approach to risk management rather than just a risk transfer. And I think that's very value creating for both the insurance company and the corporate. So just to give you one example of innovation. But in this period, I think we kind of, as I said, we looked at every part of the organization, and we actually doubled our tech investment. You're right that we spent a lot of money on maintenance. We tried to be regular in terms of spending money for futuristic tech, but we actually doubled that spend last year, just because we knew that this is a time where we had to significantly increase the investment that we have, even to, in a sense, stay at the same place. And I'm sure lots of companies have done this. I mean, as I said, companies which were probably a bit slower in this probably have realized and woken up and got even more focused on investing in some of these technologies, the digital technologies.
Right. This is great. And in fact, that's an elevation of the positioning, right from the risk partner to risk management partner, which give a win-win proposition to customer and the business. Great. And that is actually embedding technology to the core of the business, right? Not just at the experience part. And Vijay, that is coming to you, because you touched some of the core process already digital, right? You mentioned about 73% of your claims process through that, right? So how are you seeing what is next coming up in this process? Is there any flagship program you're working on, not at the pilot level, but poised to be scaled?
Yeah, I agree with Bhargav, that a lot of innovations have happened, on the retail side, particularly motor and health. But on the other line of business, I think a lot to be done. And but I think there is some reason, actually, because when you look at innovating general insurance, I think you have to look at holistically, and there are many parts to it, or many angles to which need to be looked at. For example, you need to have a right ecosystem, available, where government also has to play some role, or government is already playing a significant role, in providing those, ecosystem. Now you have Vahan, you have Sarathi, IIB, National Health Authority is also looking at keeping data at one platform of all the hospitals and patients. So this kind of enablers, I think, is one challenge which has been missing, but now I think significant progress has already happened. Data privacy, there are a lot of information available, but that information can be passed on to insurers. That's a question mark. And as you know that, for us, we need to look at the risk when we underwrite the policy, and we also have to look at the the claim, so that there's no misuse of the claim, and we need to have certain information to rule out those kind of things. Then we also have a regulator, actually, which on one side, which also has to approve so many innovations, even if we have so recently the sandbox and certain other innovations, and a lot of discussion is already happening, for example, on motor, on the telematic side, pay as use. So these kind of discussions are already happening at regulator level, and I think regulator is also very positive on changing the scenario, the way compared to what it was maybe 5 years back. With regard to availability of technology, I think like us, we were right from the day one, we are on a cloud, and makes it eases on so many areas. Use of artificial intelligence is already happening, but long way to go. Still, we are at a base level, actually. Blockchain has not happened, actually. In a very small way, it has already started. Some companies, including us, in travel claims, trip delay claims, we are using certain data, in the form that, from the airlines, where hardly any manual intervention is required, and the claim is paid automatically, or customer without even customer making a claim. So use of bots, chat bots, I think all these things are already in happening, and most industry players are using that. I think the biggest innovation which has also happened is on the social media. General insurance, as we all know, and also I guess in the life side also, communication to the customers is very, very important. What product covers and what doesn't cover, in a simple manner, if a customer can understand. I think that is a very big challenge. And also, there are a lot of excellent products are available, but customers don't know it. For example, you take the data, for example, the Chennai floods, or maybe Kerala floods, the number of households which were insured were very minuscule, actually, at the time of this disaster. So I think the awareness, customer awareness, is missing. So which I think with social media, I think the scenario has changed significantly. And on cashless, I think the motor health, I think almost more than 95% claims cashless is happening, which is a great improvement, compared to any other markets. So today I can say that we are at a stage, with regard to claims and policy issuance, which is comparable to, at an international level. Companies have acquired the capability of settling claims within 30 minutes, even without even asking for estimates, and involvement of surveyors and garages. So this also can be supported by another argument that looking at 2000, we were there was certain premium was being charged. I'm specifically talking about motor. And today we are in 2021, where almost in terms of discount, if we leave the inflation and just look at the discount percentage, even with the 70% discount on that price, actually, or at that rate, still companies have successfully survived, and customer is getting best deal, and customer is getting much better service than it was. So all these things obviously can be is proven as a result of innovation that has happened in the past.
Excellent. I think Vijay, you touched upon an important point. We are talking about a connected ecosystem and a connected customer, right? And how holistically we can look at the customer. Whatever data we have at the business level, probably it will give a 360-degree view, but there is another view for this customer holistically, with the data is available through open API consent-based systems, right? And how we are integrating that ecosystem is key here. That leads me to the last section of what next, right? And so gone through a crisis, recoup that with a kind of agility, and we learn the lessons, powering the technology, innovation, people, process, and that leads to next, right? On the what next, going back to what Mr. Bhargav was talking about, the transformation of our position from a risk partner to risk management partner, and giving proactive signals of risk, right, and thereby avoid that risk is a key part. So and that requires a support from the whole ecosystem as well, right? So how do you see that business getting into reimagined insurance in the future, right? What would be the key tenets to it? I'll start with you, Tarun. If you can touch upon how the future will look like with a larger ecosystem for insurance.
See, the ecosystem is changing. I hope I had a clairvoyance to be able to say what's it going to be and predict it perfectly. But I think what is going to decide the future really, and I think I'd rather focus on that, is going to be the way partnerships are stuck with the regulator. Partnerships are stuck between manufacturers and providers. Providers could be fintech providers. Providers could be providers of risk like reinsurers. Providers are providers of customers, banks and advisors. How do we strike that partnership, and how do we take that up? Bhargav talked about very fantastic thought about risk management, for which they're doing for corporate side. I think that takes the entire bit to a different level altogether. I'm just wondering if there was a use case in life insurance where we could actually partner with corporates and do something, which could be very different. And yes, possibly we can, because there is a lot of stuff we can do around employee-facing bits for corporates, and how we can share risk together, and how we can maybe look at employee retention. And those are areas which will largely decide how the life insurance sector works. Otherwise, the basics of the business will change. And like usually, life insurance has been a distributor-led business. But will it change substantially? No. Will it? It'll depend on how the distributor picks up a lot of this business, and a lot of the new practices that are coming up. Hence, education and how do we work with partners who train comes in very important there. So a lot of these things are finally going to decide where the sector lands up. Of course, part of me very clearly says that I just expect that in the future, the big getting bigger. At the same time, the point you made somewhere in the starting, Rajiv, that there will be a few players who will be able to invest in taking out new niches and be able, kind of really take them to the next level, and some really good boutique work that can be done by the smaller players. So I think that's where I'll leave it. It's time. So
yeah, sure, Tarun. I think makes sense. And Bhargav, to you, I think you touched upon the corporate tie-ups and working along with them. And I see that the industry boundaries, if you define in the ambit of insurance versus the neighborhood industries, right? That boundaries are also blurring. So do you see in the what next, we will see new such cross-industry convergence is going to happen?
Whether it will happen or not depends a lot on the point that Vijay made about the regulation and the limits that are put to an industry. But assuming that is also addressed. And my sense is it will be addressed because finally consumers should benefit. The solution that we provide has to be meaningful for consumers. And if you look at with that lens, and let's look at a health piece, right? I mean, if you look at the health insurance segment in India, we are still touching maybe 1/3 of the healthcare spends, which is the hospitalization care. We are missing 2/3 of the spend, which is outside the hospitalization. And if you look at from a consumer benefit perspective, if you provided a continuum of care starting with preventive wellness, etc., and down to doctor visit to pharmacy to if need be hospitalization, that was much more valuable. That is much more valuable for customers. My sense is that it will happen. It has to happen because for the customer it's better, and what is better for the customer is always better for the industry. But again, for it to happen, even if let's say the regulatory framework makes it easy, would be a lot of partnerships that Tarun talked about. I think none of us, at least mindset-wise, all of us have to become much more, in a sense, open architecture, thinking about partnerships. So, for example, one of our health piece where we work with multiple partners is with that mindset, where some certain components come from different partners, and we kind of weave it together to make it useful for customers, which also means a certain mindset within the organization, because you have to keep experimenting, and some of the experiments will work, some of them will not work. You asked a question of what will happen. I think all of us should acknowledge that we are very poor at predicting the future. We all believe we can, but we make a mistake. Last 1 year should have taught us that lesson. But all of us should realize that change is here to stay, and we have to be very, very nimble in terms of pivoting the organization as fast as possible. And for large organizations, that's a challenge. We have our legacy systems, legacy processes, legacy mindsets. But while big will definitely be better, that's the expectation that all of us have out of this COVID. But big which do not remain agile and do not remain nimble, I think will fall by the wayside. So both are important. Big as also being nimble. All of that has to come together for that to happen.
Big and being nimble, yeah. And then Vijay, to you, maybe specifically from India context, we always quoted to be an underpenetrated, underinsured market, right? Uninsured, underinsured market. In the what next journey, do you see such amplifiers coming, accelerating this adoption, right? You did touch upon some of the social media platforms and all that. So how do you see that coming up from an adoption perspective to penetrate much deeper into the market?
Yeah, I am very optimistic actually, and my wish list is that the one single area for improvement, if that can happen, maybe collectively, through industry initiative plus regulator plus government, it'll be great actually. Today, the way customers, look at us, customer always feel that it's just a piece of paper the insurance company is selling, whether really it's worth paying this much of money, or should I leave it aside. So I think that's the question, always when it comes to buying insurance. I'm talking about non-life. We have seen the trends even in the COVID period also. Suddenly when the COVID was at peak, I think a lot of customers were hunting for insurance cover, but suddenly when things improved, everything slowed down, and so same thing happened even after floods. Also, same thing happens. So so the customer actually need to see value, and the only unfortunate part is that maybe I think the regulator can help better in this. If some valuation or some services can be clubbed along with the motor policy, where the customer can be given a better service, better value proposition, where and the customer is then promptly can spend money on insurance. Then I think the penetration can really explode actually in India. So today, whatever is whatever increase is happening, I think is more on the motor and health to some extent. Householders still, if you look at the numbers, I think maybe less than 1% or 2%. I think the entire book. So I think a long way to go, and I think this again the other most important part is the technology enablers. As Bhargav was mentioning, I think there are a lot of non-motor areas where you really require some enablers and technology to help us underwrite those risk faster. Even today, if somebody has to write a householder policy, I think there are a lot of questions still asked and still processes are manual. So as a company, I think that will be our focus area to make that happen. Whatever great work has happened on the retail side, on the non-motor side, and corporate side also, that should happen. So that's a wish list from my side.
No, this is really good, Vijay. I think you touched upon all the aspects of it. So, audience, I think we covered the three parts as we discussed, and I'm just trying to play it back so that it's in our mind that what we have discussed for the last 45 minutes, the highlights of it, right? Being big and nimble, right? And that brings the enterprise agility. Tarun did mention about the contextual innovation. I think there are companies with more pilots than British Airways, right? I mean, we are looking at something which will go live and make sense to the business. We talked about connected ecosystem. Vijay brought an important point of regulation. And then, Bhargav, you did mention about the risk partner elevation to a risk management partner, right? Tarun, you did mention about the 3V, very important of video, voice, and vernacular, and very, very important for geographies like India to bring that out, right? Benchmarks from other industries, the experience of a Netflix, of an omni-channel, how do we bring that out? EC as an acronym, great to remember, efficiency, access, security, and do it yourself, right? Bhargav, you couldn't touch upon the employee experience part you touched in the beginning, which I heard some of your conversation about bringing inclusion in the entire part, right? Such a great power of technology into it. So thank you very much for all your time and the thoughts over here. I hope we will get some questions from the audience offline as well. We'll share with the group. And many thanks for your time today, and thanks audience for attending this.
Thank you so much, Rajiv.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajiv.
Thank you so much, Rajiv.